guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to be building a Spellcasters Cottage. Now, I actually have a little bit of a funny story about this build. So basically the other day, if you follow me on Twitter, you would see me tweet about this, but I was going through my videos folder, so all of my videos which I record on my video software, they automatically go into my videos folder, and I'm so bad because I never clean it out. I just leave videos in there for so long. It's probably, I don't even know how many gigabytes that folder is, but it was getting to a point where I was losing which recording was for what build, and so I decided to go through it and clean it out. Now, whilst I was doing this, I actually found so many different builds which I'd started building, and then where I had a little mini break from YouTube, I completely forgot about them and I never finished them, and this was actually one of them. This house, the majority of it I did actually build back in September. It says on my recording that I built this on the 16th of September, so just after Realm of Magic came out. I believe it came around the 9th or 10th of September, something around that kind of time, and I believe this might have been my first build that I did with Realm of Magic. I'm not quite sure. I think it was definitely one of them at least, but I really wanted to finish it because I actually absolutely love this house. I think it's so beautiful and it's so cute, and it's such a perfect little cottage for a spellcaster to live in, and I really wanted to include it in my save file. Now, I have already done a build in my save file in Glimmerbrook, but it's not in the kind of similar style as this kind of house. So if you've been watching my videos for a little while, you'll know that in the majority of the world to my save file, I want all of the surrounding houses in the neighbourhoods to look the same. I'm not really too bothered about it when it comes to Glimmerbrook. I kind of want each house to kind of have its own personality in some kind of way. So I'll put a card on the screen for the previous house that I've actually built in Glimmerbrook now. It was just kind of like this white panel house. It's very traditional kind of looking, but I really wanted to build a little cottage for a spellcaster. I was kind of thinking like an elder or something. I really like the idea of maybe an elder lives here, or maybe a pair of elders live here, and they just, you know, live their life. They are all magical and stuff, and I really love this house. It's got everything that a spellcaster would need. It's got one bedroom, it's got obviously one bedroom, one bathroom, and then it's also got a little basement which is kind of like the magical room. It's got the massive, I don't know what it's called, but the massive pot thing which Sims can make potions in. It's got one of them in the like basement. It's also got a little shed outside. Now, sheds are something that I really want to start building more in my houses, just because sheds are really realistic to have in back gardens, and I never really do them. I don't know why, but I really want to start including some in my houses. This house does actually have a shed in it as well. And then yeah, so it's basically got everything that your sim will need if they are a spellcaster. Maybe if they're not a starting out spellcaster, because I believe this house is around 100,000 simoleons, something like that. I'm not too sure. It'll be in the build details in the description box down below. But as you can see, the main structure of the house has already come together, and it came together quite quickly. Now, when I actually went in and started editing this footage, I remembered that I actually built this house like 2 times before the footage that you're actually seeing. Now, sometimes when I build a structure of the house, I move the camera around so many different times and in so many different places that when you speed it up, it just goes crazy. It's really hard to concentrate on what I'm doing. And I think back then I was thinking that I was probably doing it too quick, and so I actually rebuilt this twice before the third time, which you're actually seeing right now. Don't worry though, I didn't actually go in and do the furnishing or the wallpaper and anything. I just normally do that if I just am building like the main structure of the house and the roofing, just sometimes because also it makes the video a little bit quicker. Sometimes I feel like watching me trying to figure out where a wall should go or where a bit of roof can go is a little bit boring, and so I do that sometimes. But as you can see, now I am actually moving on, and I started doing the landscaping. Now, I remember this was the first house which I actually landscaped where I was experiencing the glitch, which I've spoken about in my past few videos. There's kind of like this glitch at the minute where when you try and overlay plants when you're landscaping, they just kind of like jiggle and move about, and they've got a mind of their own, and it's so annoying because especially when you're trying to layer plants and just make it look really overgrown, but you're also trying to make it look nice at the same time, it's really frustrating. And you'll see at some points I do go into kind of like a bird's eye view, because I find personally if I go into a bird's eye view it doesn't happen as much. But yeah, landscaping in this build was such a pain in the bum because it just took me so long to landscape it, and there is actually a lot of landscaping in this house. So like always, I did cut the majority of the back of the house out like I normally do. I did keep in these 2 main flower beds though, and then there is also this really nice like kind of in-depth kind of little flower bed in the back garden. There's kind of like this little porch area as this house is on a foundation, and there's this kind of like a little lowered flower bed, if that makes any sense. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about, but don't worry if you don't, because we'll get to that in a little while. As you can see, I did actually decide to go for the wallpaper that we got with the Get Together expansion pack. I absolutely love this kind of Tudor looking wallpaper, and I felt like it would be perfect for a house in Glimmerbrook. I was kind of thinking in my head that, like I said, I imagined an elder to live here, or maybe a couple of elders, and maybe this is one of the original houses in Glimmerbrook, and that's why it is kind of got this wallpaper. It's very old and kind of traditional, and maybe the other houses are maybe built after it. I'm not too sure. As you can see, I'm also going in and completely changing the roof colour. I kind of took a few days originally when I was building this back in September to actually build the house. I didn't do it in like one straight session. It kind of took a few days, and I kind of came back into the lot and I decided that I wanted to have a completely different colour palette to the one that I originally chose. And I'm actually really happy that I decided to change the colour palette, because I just think with the red roof and the brown windows, it just goes together so much nicer, and I just prefer it a lot more than what I previously had. What I had previously was very dark and it kind of seemed a little bit cold to me, and I really wanted this to look like a welcoming little cottage. Maybe the people that live here, or the Sims that live here, are really friendly, and I don't know, it just looks a lot more cozier and cuter with this. As you can see now, I have actually now moved on to the back garden. So you can kind of see on the side, there's this kind of little shed that's got some logs in it. Now, originally I placed that down because where I actually built the basement, there were some windows that I wanted some natural light to come in. And there was this kind of like weird little 3-tile like space down into the basement. And it kind of looked a little bit weird. And so originally I tried to put this little log shed on top of it to kind of disguise it. But then as I actually came back into the build, literally today, I was looking at it and I was thinking that is so silly, because now no light's going to come through. So I did actually decide to delete that and actually just landscape around it. I did decide to cut that little bit of landscaping out though. As you can see though, I have actually just come back to the front of the house, and now I'm actually doing the little entrance. I really like this particular lot because it's kind of got these gates and then it kind of goes into this really little secluded area. I think it's such a sweet lot. I actually really like all the lots in Glimmerbrook. I think they're all so individually cute, but I just kind of wish that we had more. I believe we only have 4 lots in Glimmerbrook which are residential, and then we actually have one which is actually a bar. I think I'm actually going to keep that as a bar in my save file. I just haven't got around to building that yet. As you can see though, I have just done a little kind of fence around the lot, and then I've actually used one of these archways which is from the World Objects cheat. And I remember when we got the World Objects cheat, that was the number one thing that I really wanted, because I have always loved this archway. It's originally in Willow Creek where the Goths live. There's this kind of little garden, and I remember seeing it before, and I really wanted to be able to use it, and we could never use it until we got the World Objects cheat. And it was like my number one thing that I really wanted to use, and I thought it would be so sweet to use it in this house as well. As you can see, I have actually now moved on back to the back garden, and I'm actually building this little shed. So like I said, this house does have a little garden shed. I thought it would be really cute, and also there was kind of like this empty space in the back garden, and I didn't really feel like it was a house which was appropriate to have a swimming pool in. I'm not sure if any of the houses in Glimmerbrook will have a swimming pool in. I'm not too sure. I haven't got around to even thinking that far ahead, but I really thought a little shed would go perfectly in this little space. And so you can kind of see that I'm just going around and landscaping it around it now, adding some ivory to the walls and trying to make it look like a little bit old, like it's been there for a little while. I also do actually do a little pathway in a moment. So originally I was going to do some terrain paint for the pathway, but I really wanted to experiment with the little stone rugs which kind of look like stepping stones. I think they're so cute. So you'll see me delete the terrain paint in a moment and actually go back and put some stepping stones in, and then I actually go around with some more terrain paint and try and like go underneath the stepping stones to kind of make it look like all of the grass that is below the stepping stones has been worn down. Maybe maybe Sims, when they walk on there, don't always step on the stepping stones, and sometimes they step on the grass, and so it's kind of got a little bit worn out, a little bit dead, and so I try and kind of create that realism with it. If you have watched any of my previous videos before, or you've been watching my channel for a while, then you'll know that having realism in houses in the game is like my number one priority. I don't know why, I just like to have as much realism in the game as possible. But now I am actually just going back to kind of like the upper deck in the back garden, and I'm actually adding a little clothesline. Now, when I was actually building this house, I did completely forget to actually put a little laundry basket in. So when you actually download this off the gallery, I'll make sure to add one in. It just completely passed my mind when I was doing it. There is a washing machine and tumble dryer in here though, so don't worry about that. I didn't forget them too. I just forgot the washing machine. But now I am just finishing up the garden. I'm actually going around and adding some of these little plant pot or plant I don't know what they're called, but you can plant stuff in them basically. I'm actually using the ones that I believe you can build at the woodworking table. I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I just absolutely love these ones. I prefer them like so much over the ones that we actually have in the build and buy menu. I just think they look a lot more nicer, a lot more cuter, and they're just like handcrafted, and I just prefer them. So I do actually place a few of them around. These ones that you actually can see, I just actually put some pre-made plants in there, or not pre-made plants, some of the landscaping plants that we actually get in the game, but there is also some empty ones as well. But if you want to and you actually want to use them ones, then you can definitely just delete them landscaping plants. I am just going back around to the front of the house, so I'm just kind of refining this little flower bed that I had. I did actually put the wall or the fence around it and then just kind of left it as it was, and so I wanted to go back and just refine it so it was actually not going into the wall, if that makes any sense. I do also add some trees around just to kind of make this house look a little bit more into the woods, and maybe like all the trees have grown around it, as well as actually finishing it off by adding some of these bushes just at the front of the house. I kind of felt like it was a bit weird having two massive flower beds, or just two massive plots of flowers, and then the rest of the wall being completely empty, so I decided to finish it up and just add some bushes that we have with base game. But now I'm actually moving in and I've actually started furnishing the inside of this house. So I actually started off with the kitchen like always, and for once the kitchen's not at the back of the house. Normally I always do my kitchens at the back of the house so they can always look onto the garden, but just the way that the floor plan worked out, it actually worked out that the kitchen was actually going to be at the very front of the house. As you can see, of course I went for the Realm of Magic counters and stove and fridge. I just think they are so lovely. I particularly love the little stove or the oven. I just love that, how it's kind of like a big plate. I don't know, I just really like that look. I am also going in and just cluttering it up with some debug menu items. I actually have this little note and then some flowers as well. I was kind of thinking maybe that's a potion recipe or something like that, and so I do just put that on the counter. I am also then going around and just cluttering it up with a few more like normal build and buy menu items, the ones that you can typically find in the build and buy menu, and then just going around and, you know, just adding some applicants like the tea making machine and stuff like that. I really hope that we get an upgraded tea machine. I know this sounds like a really weird request, but I don't know, I feel like that tea machine is a little bit old and dated now because we've had it in the game for so long, and it's the only machine that we can actually make tea with. Like, you can make so many different types of teas, but I'd really like if we could get a kettle in the game. I know that's a bit of a weird request, but I'd actually really like that. I believe there is actually some mods out there that do that, but I don't really particularly like having it build CC, and I don't actually build with any CC in my game anyway. All of my builds are just the furniture and the landscaping items that all come within packs and stuff, and so I don't want to start mixing in some CC now. As you can see though, I have pretty much finished the kitchen, and I'm just focusing on this little walkway area as soon as your Sims will walk through the front door. Now originally I would put like a little shelf that would kind of display some scarves and stuff like that, but where there were spellcasters, I decided to put some brooms next to the front door, so instead of chucking up their hat and coat, they can chuck up their broom. Even though there is like a little coat hooks, I still wanted that kind of idea of they can just walk out the door and grab their broom. I just really liked that idea. As you can see as well, I'm now just doing the little dining room area. I really love this little dining room. It's actually all into like the main entrance of the house, like the kitchen and the dining room are all into one room, as well as like the main hallway as soon as you walk in through the front door, if that makes any sense. But I really like this little kind of nook. It's got all these windows around it, and as you can see, I'm actually putting a load of clutter kind of in the air at the moment. Don't worry, I will actually put a table there in a second, but I really wanted the table to look very cluttered up. Maybe these Sims aren't the neatest, maybe they're not really bothered about having the cleanest and most organized house, and they just kind of have loads of different spell books and just ingredients and potions and just little like bits and bobs just kind of chucked on their dining room table. Where I was kind of imagining 2 Sims would live here, or maybe just a single Sim, I wasn't really bothered about not all of the chairs being able to, like, your Sims being able to sit on them and actually eat at them. I was just kind of focusing on at least 2 or 3, so I'm not quite sure if your Sims will actually be able to sit around that side of the table and eat, if maybe you want to invite guests over or not, but it definitely looks really cute. But now I have actually moved on, and I've actually started furnishing the lounge room. Now from this point onwards is all the footage that I actually recorded today. All the rest of the footage beforehand I recorded in September, and up to this point now is actually where I started building today. So originally this room was actually going to be the bedroom, and the now bedroom was going to be the lounge room, if that makes any sense. Basically I swapped them around. Originally the lounge room was on the other side, so where I'm actually going and getting some clutter from, I actually had the lounge room, and I just went into the build today and it just looked really cold. I used the Realm of Magic sofas and it just wasn't feeling cozy enough, and I just didn't really like the layout of it, and so I decided to delete all of the furnishing and just redo these next 3 rooms. So as you can see, all of the clutter that I originally had, I just deleted off what was originally in that room and just kind of moved it over into this room. I didn't want to scroll through the catalogue again and try and find them, so I just kind of moved them from room to room. As you can see though, we do have a fireplace. I just kind of feel like all spellcasters need a fireplace in their house. I don't know what it is, but I just kind of have this mindset. I do use the cats and dogs sofas. I prefer them so much to the original sofas I actually originally put in this house, just because it's a lot more cozier, and especially if you're going to have elders living here. Obviously you don't have to have elders live in this house, but kind of in my mind and in my safe file, I'm going to have at least one elder living here. I just kind of think the cats and dogs sofa just go so much better with it. I do also clutter the fireplace up with a little TV. I didn't want to give this sim the most expensive and modern TV. I don't feel like they'll be bothered about that. I don't even feel like they'd watch TV, if I'm honest, and so I just gave them one of the small ones, and then also just cluttered up the fireplace with some other spellcaster items. I have a wand on there. I also did just do some move objects and put some postcards on the little fireplace as well. I just think it looks really cute. Now I'm actually moving on to the bathroom. So the bathroom is not that extraordinary, it's just kind of a bathroom. I decided to go for a base game bathtub, which I never really actually use, one of the base game toilets, and then this get together sink, which I actually felt like fitted the whole theme of the house, where I was trying to think that it might be a little bit historical, not hysterical, that's laughing. But as you can see, now I've actually moved on into the bedroom. So the bedroom, I actually had this little indent bit, which is actually the fireplace on the outside, and I wasn't actually sure if your Sims could actually go in and sleep in this little area. So I did actually go into my game off camera and actually test out this little bed area, and it actually works perfectly fine, as long as you don't put any bedside tables either side, because then your Sims would not be able to get in there. But it does actually work perfectly fine. So there is actually no bedside tables in this little room, but I actually kind of like it, because normally I do put bedside tables either side of the bed, and it's kind of nice to do something a little bit different and not have the same kind of items next to a Sims bed. I don't know, I actually prefer it. As you can see though, I am just doing this little chest of drawers area, so I actually used the one tile chest of drawers that we got with Realm of Magic. I don't believe that I've used that yet. I might have done it in my spellcaster's apartment, but I don't think I did. I don't know, I did that a really long time ago, I can't actually remember. But there is also a little desk area in this room as well. There wasn't actually one in the rest of the house, and I really wanted to make one. There wasn't enough room in the lounge room, and so I just kind of feel like for gameplay, having a computer in a Sims house is kind of necessary, or maybe just a laptop, just because laptops and computers give so much gameplay for us when we're playing. I don't know, I always try and have at least a computer or a laptop in any build that I do. But now I'm actually moving back down to the basement, and I've actually started cluttering this room up. So as you would have seen off camera, I actually went and grabbed loads of different debug menu items, just because it takes so long to find all the items that I was looking for, and it would have just added an extra like 3 or 4 minutes onto the video where I was trying to find all these different items. So I just kind of put them all out on the floor, and now you can kind of see that I'm actually going in and actually putting them in places and cluttering them up. So I really wanted this little kind of counter area down kind of below these windows, which would look up onto the upstairs of the house, or not the upstairs, kind of like the main level. So obviously this is the basement and it's looking upwards, if that makes any sense. And I just kind of cluttered this up with loads of different things. So we have some ingredients, we have a frog, we have some of them special medicine things, we have some remedies, and just all different kinds of things. We also have like a wand and stuff. And now I'm actually going to go in and add this, I don't even know what it's called, the pot thing that you get with Realm of Magic that you can make potions in. One day I will learn the name of it, but currently I do not know the name of it, so I'm not even going to attempt to say what it is, because I ain't got a clue. But as you can see, I'm actually going in and I tried to add all of the kind of decorational furniture objects, which I don't think your Sims can actually interact with, but they looked really magical and cute, and so I wanted to add them into this basement, as there was the room for it as well. The main purpose of this basement though is just basically that massive pot thing, so your Sims can make potions. There is obviously a bookcase as well, so maybe they can learn spells down here. And then in a minute you will actually see that I actually do put a little armchair down here as well, so maybe your Sim wants to grab a book from the bookshelf and just sit down here and read. I don't know, there was just kind of like this little empty space next to this little kind of like potion cabinet, and so I thought it would be nice just to add one in. I actually used one from university. Originally I did it in this orange colour, but then I actually changed it back to this green colour. But now I'm actually moving back to the outside of this house, and I'm actually going to go in and finish the last room, which is the little shed. So I don't know why I didn't actually do it when I was doing the rest of the house, like the rest of the outside of the house. I just kind of forgot about it. But as you can see in this room, we do just have a little washing machine and tumble dryer. I also do have this little sink, which is also from Laundry Day, as well as some Laundry Day shelves to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic and so the walls aren't so bland. I also do add a little flower arranging table into this room as well. I've realised I didn't actually have one in the garden, and so I thought it would be a really nice idea to have one in this little shed. I am also going to finish it off with this little side table and just kind of add some gardening tools on top of it to make it seem a little bit more realistic than what it currently is. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voiceover here. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this little Spellcasters cottage, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedrunning video. Bye guys.